I've been waiting for this since 2018 when the EP came out, and we finally have it. The official debut album from the interesting band name of I Don't Know How, But They Found Me, which is two members of pretty popular bands coming together to form really the first good duo we've had since, some would argue, 21 Pilots, some would argue the White Stripes. That's up for debate, as we have Dylan Weeks, the former bassist for Panic at the Disco, now the lead singer, bassist, other instrumentation on this band, and Ryan Seaman, yes, that is his last name, former drummer of Falling in Reverse. It is a 14-track debut album, and there was one song on here that kind of surprised me that it was even on there, which is Nobody Likes the Opening Band. This was one of their, I think, first songs they'd ever released. Not like the first one, but one of the early ones they released like 3 years ago. And it ended up on the album, and I still like it to this day. We also have Leave Me Alone, which was the big highlight from this thing, and that's an excellent, excellent track. Lights Go Down, New Invention, another just catchy, catchy tune. Of course, we have Clusterhug, Sugar Pills. I don't know what it is about that song. Just, again, catchy, catchy. Kiss Goodnight. Need You Here, which is very interesting because I looked this up, and his song Emily, or however you say it, I don't know, his daughter, Dylan Weeks' daughter, actually, her vocals appear on the track. A younger her, and I guess a more grown version of her, actually sings. It's obviously about Dylan, not liking the fact that he's always away from his daughter, that he wants to be a good father, and it's basically his daughter's side, too, where she says, I hate when Dad leaves, but yet again, when he is around, and he always tries to make time for me, it's the best. So it's another one of those pretty emotional songs that you can definitely tell meant something to Dylan in this way, especially to get his own daughter on the track. Again, you don't see that much often. It's like back then when Eminem would take his young daughter Haley into the studio and be like, here, say this and that and the other, but this one was like, she was really good. She apparently, good musicianship runs in the family, because she has a good voice, to say the least. And I liked Mad IQs, and of course the title track was the other one I had heard off of this album, and boy, that thing is also catchy. Songs I found okay from the Gallows, and then there's Door, which is like 1 minute and 32 seconds. I like to count this as a song. And the two least favorite ones I found were actually, I guess you can call those more interludes, which was Indoctrination and Tomorrow People. They're not, they're over 1 minute long, barely, but I guess they suffice for being interludes, but obviously they're my least favorite because, I don't necessarily think they're one that anybody's going to want to go back to, but if you're listening to the album in full, you got to kind of listen to them for it to really make sense in this case. So yeah, this thing was an adventure. I like the fact they stuck with the 80s aesthetic from the 1981 EP a couple years ago. It's just funky, it's fresh, and the lyricism by Dylan Weeks, however, I say Dylan, but I could be wrong, I don't know. He's just an excellent lyricist that doesn't get enough credit. And even Ryan Seaman doing the drums and stuff like that and other things, he also does backing vocals, I think is another one that you would call the secret weapon in the band, because everybody loves Mr. Weeks and doesn't pay attention to, I'm not going to call him Mr. Seaman, we're just going to say Ryan, and I think he really helps the aesthetic of the songs come to fruition with what they're trying to do. So yeah, for a debut album, highly impressed. Very enjoyable. I don't think I found myself really looking down at this album and going, well, that was boring. I mean, I guess From the Gallows was not necessarily, like I said, my favorite and probably the least interesting on here, but it's still an okay song nonetheless, to where it didn't make me want to, turn the album off in this case. So yeah, I think for what it's worth, a 7.5 out of 10 suffices. I would really love to see what they do for their sophomore effort. I think they're one of those bands that can and most likely will avoid the sophomore slump, but we'll see what they have for album number 2 whenever that is, because, well, so far the EP has wowed me, the album has wowed me, the debut, I should say, has wowed me. Now it's just on to keeping us interested throughout, and I have a feeling that they're still going to keep that 80s aesthetic going, forward, but they might decide to change it up a little bit, because now we got an EP and an album that kind of have the same aesthetic to them, and it's just like, okay, now that we got that done and over with, we're going to throw something different out next time. So yeah, it's a very good listen. Would definitely recommend, and we'll see where this ends up on my favorite albums of the year list, if it makes it. But you know, it could be an honorable mention, it could be, but again, we'll see where that's all at in December before I decide to even make my decision on the year-end list. And yeah, that does it for me. You can tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this album? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What were your favorite tracks and least favorite tracks from this thing? And yeah, the graphic novel review should be coming soon, and that's basically really all I have planned from this for next week, basically, I should say. So we'll see where that's at, but I have other videos coming out, so stay tuned for those. And until then, guys, stay safe out there, and I will catch you all in the next one.